always be freedom. It'll always be freedom.
Welcome back to Conversations in Anarchy. I'm Laura, and today we will be talking about the Nonconformist series. On the weekend just before Halloween, Anarchapulco had their 6th edition of the Nonconformist series on, and this time it was Expressions of Freedom edition. And so the weekend was filled with different kind of art talks and different genres, from music, visual art, architecture, many different ways, and different people that were sharing their stories about art and expression. And together I have 3 wonderful guests with me. Some of them have worked behind the scenes, some of them have worked in front of the scenes, and some of them have worked both sides. So please welcome Tom Shaw, Catherine Blige Bonandin, and Ulysses. Hi guys.
Hey there.
Ciao.
Hello.
Hi. So since Tom, you were emceeing the whole thing, and what was like following the whole event was your poetry. So could you maybe read a poem of yours for us as an introduction
I
today as
absolutely
well?
can.
Thank
I
you.
absolutely can, yes. Thank you. So this piece I opened day 2 with, I don't know, it's a favorite of Miranda Webb, who you may have also seen on day 2 if you listened in. And if you didn't listen in, you can still go catch the replays, and you're going to want to after you hear us talk about it today and all the amazing stuff that happened. But this is a particular favorite of hers, and she was hoping to join for this conversation, and unfortunately she couldn't make it. So I'll do this in honor of her, and we'll go from there. It's a fun little piece. I like it. It's called Unregistered Chickens. It goes like this. We must stop those unregistered chickens. How dare they manage their own clucking lives? They walk the land. They don't give a dickens, even when threatened by our great big knives. How dare they not rely on the state grain, perfectly modified for what they need? They're eating raw and they're feeling no pain. Soon enough, they'll start growing their own seed and gathering in flocks of their own kind, living without once succumbing to rage, thinking without a propagandized mind. They'll begin to thrive with no pen or cage. How dreadful there's unregistered chickens. The very thought of them free just sickens.
That one is one of my favorites as well. This is like this could be actually told about the homeschooling kids, at least in Norway and in Latvia. Yeah, but I would like to also continue with Kat. Maybe you could tell us how this all Nonconformist series, how did this project start? Because this last one was the 6th edition, so it's been happening for a while.
Yes, it has. So before the Nonconformist series, we had a virtual event called Anarchy. And this was a free virtual event that we did about twice a year that was really focused on getting the truth out there, because we found that it was really difficult to figure out what was going on. And so we were bringing people together to just straight up share reality, right? It was a reality dump. And after the COVID things died down, we found that doing one event a year, people were still seeking to want to come together and wanting to share ideas throughout the year. And so before Liber Poco in Serbia was born into existence, the Nonconformist series was designed to sort of fill in that gap. and to help us generate some extra revenue so that we weren't so dependent on ticket sales for the main event, and that we could kind of go above and beyond what ticket sales were bringing in, right? So it's been a really fun project. Each one has a different theme. Some of them have been on, financial, crypto, some of them on homesteading, homemaking, homeschooling. Freedom Starts at Home was the name of that one. So it's been really fun. It allows us to sometimes get different presentations from our in-person presenters than we would normally get on stage. And it brings us together in this really wonderful way. The chat is always a fun place to hang out and ask questions and interact with the speakers and check in with one another. And yeah, it's been a nice project.
Yes, and also very, very rich in variety. Like only on the first day of this last edition, for example, one artist is saying, please never use artificial intelligence, and you know art needs to stay as a craft and stuff. And then the second one is telling, so maybe quite the opposite. How are the participants, the speakers, chosen for
Well, we
the
choose our speakers
series?
through a variety of means, but we always survey our audience. And so we're checking in with, who are people excited about right now? Who do they want to see again? Who do they want to hear more from? And then we're also doing our own research. So Jeff, myself, everybody on the team, we reach out to any ideas, give us your feedback, and we just kind of roll from there.
Okay, so because it is also, as you, Tom, were emceeing like really nicely, this that despite the way how one artist makes his or her art um, differs from another one quite greatly, but it's still valuable because we are so different. Also, the audience that is following, and that is really, really. It also, I'm sure, it's experienced in different. How did you feel this on your end? As MC, was it? Yeah. What was your impression of the whole
I was
last
I found
edition?
it just a really fun exercise to be able to experience all of these different creatives who have found their different paths and ways through, and to not only to show how they've made a success with their creative and artistic endeavors in whatever avenue in life they have, but also shown the relevance and the importance of it, and why that those projects are so important in the current landscape of what we're experiencing. And there is a broad definition of what counts as, art and creative. That's why I was really glad we could have Lydia and Arturo, for example, come in and talk about the architectural projects they were doing. That Kat could talk about Game of Village and role playing as an exercise that children can use that as a vehicle to understand the world around them. Because that's what all these artistic and creative endeavors are for me, and it's what it is for my poetry. It's trying to make sense of this world, this matrix, this globe slash plane slash potato earth slash whatever it is it might be. All these projects help bring clarity through that act of creation. We are all creative beings in one way or another. This is why I was really happy that Jeff went into this with his talk, which closed out day two, that his business ventures are an act of creation, an act of art for him, looking back on that. And it's we create the world we wish to see around us. I truly believe that. It's why I spend a lot of time with my poetry and with the workshops I do and with some of the one-on-one work I do with people, illustrating that point that yes, we have that ability to create exactly what we want around us with our ideas, with our words, how we communicate, and being able to find a almost for me as an MC to tell a story through all the presenters that we had, and to find a narrative to bring us all the way through, to showcase everyone and to say we have this ability to shape the culture around us and do some incredible things is just a wonderful experience.
Yeah, I feel also that, for example, I don't see myself as an artist, but I can definitely say that some creative vibe is visible. And I want to ask about this creativity. You know, as you Tom mentioned, Jeff, that actually if we think that creativity can be in absolutely every aspect of life, despite it's on the first kind of glimpse, it's definitely not the art and not the music or poetry or movie or whatever, but like just to find solutions. But how do you guys feel? Why is creativity important for everyone? Because I think that there are for sure people that maybe might also think, oh, creative expression, that's not for me. That's not something that I can identify myself with. And but how do you guys look at the creativity as ability to use in everyday life as well?
Uli?
Oh yeah, for me, I mean, it's a practice. So just doing like little things that, you kind of derive pleasure out of, whether it's, crafting that perfectly, you know, that perfect sentence or stanza or whatever, or, you know, drawing something, that came out of your mind, or putting something on the table in front of you, and then, trying to capture that as lifelike as possible, and like these little challenges that you set for yourself. And yeah, just paying attention and looking at things. It's something that you grow, right? It's something that the more time you spend doing it, the easier it gets, and then the more kind of elaborate you can get with things, and more appreciation you have for that, and the excitement that you have for the crafting of that thing, then you share with other people, and hopefully that ignites their kind of interest in crafting and drawing and writing and singing, all that kind of creative stuff. And then yeah, it's just a nice little dopamine hit, from doing it. Like frankly, it's enjoyable. So, and I think that for me, that's a big part of creativity, is enjoying that whole process of making and thinking, and pulling something out of, the brain space onto paper, so to speak.
What about you, Kat? How do you experience that in your life?
I try to live my life as a work of art. I like my living space. Like you can see our house is under construction. We don't have siding on the front because my husband is milling wood from trees here on the property, and that takes time and energy and da 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 da. But um, we're trying to make our space a work of art that we get to exist inside of, which has been really fun for me. My converted school bus, when I lived in it, it was the same thing. Like it was small, but it was mine, and it was like every piece was so on purpose. The lamp was on purpose. The forks were on purpose. Like every single thing, it was just so perfect. And now that's become a little chaotic for me because just a second. I have to pause for just a second.
Okay, Tom, maybe you can take over from here because you
I
are
mean,
both
I could just
the
echo everything that Kat was saying there. And Jeff spoke to this as well at the end of his talk. It's like writing a really good email or piece of marketing material. There's an art to that. Raising a kid, there's an art to that. Putting out a message to the world, whatever it is, on the risks and perils or of, I don't know, a government overreach or whatever project might be trying to come in. And the flip side of that as well, showing solutions and positives and ways around that. All of that is a work of art. Cooking phenomenal food is an art. all of these things, art is everywhere. And it's that pursuit of finding that avenue. There's avenues everywhere for anyone to experience that creativity. And it speaks to something that Uli was alluding to as well, the sense of joy that comes with that. And I think especially now with how much fear mongering there is from so many different directions, that having an avenue to find a sense of joy and pursuing an art as a mastery is absolutely vital. So yeah, I definitely agree with both of what so many things there of what both Kat and Uli are saying. And I'd be, yeah. I, what is it for you, Laura? What is
Oh
creativity for
yeah.
you in your life?
So I feel like if when I heard about the theme for the Nonconformist series, I was like, oh my God, am I able to talk about this? Like, what, yeah, art, that's something like really not in my field. But then when I was listening to Emma's talk on the day two, I think it was, so she said something like that if there is a person that thinks that creativity has nothing to do with him or her, then this person probably doesn't love oneself enough to allow to notice how this vibe of creativity is actually present. And then it was like, oh. And then I was thinking about myself. Okay, is it true? And then yeah, and as more I was thinking, and also know when we are talking about this, it feels like it's it would be really hard to live without any sense of creativity in approaching whatever we are doing, like email or writing, or as you said, cooking, or like so many. Probably it would be really interesting to, if it's possible, to meet a person that is not creative in any way whatsoever. And I don't know, it would be, Uli, maybe you could draw a person that is totally not creative. That would be really fun to see. How does something like this look like? Yeah, Kat and Uli, are you back now?
Yes, I've
Yeah.
got kids coming in and out and pets and
There's unregistered chickens.
there's
There we
unregistered.
In the background.
We're in my creative vortex right now, so there's a lot going on. Hey, love, we're on a video for
Case in
what?
point.
Hey, could you bring me my Game of Village clear case, please? She's got a fake nose ring. Speaking of creativity, a bobby pin in like a septum piercing. So creativity is
But
just
it's a really good example, Kat, because kids are so creative, and so much of how they approach the world and how I approached the world as a kid was through games and play, and that was my sense of understanding. And it's really, I've really reconnected with a sense of that through my poetry and my writing, because I turned to that as a way to make sense of the world, because all the craziness I was seeing around me, especially through COVID and everything that was going on, and even just trying to pass information and reading through so many articles and watching so many videos, I still wasn't trying to work out fully. I was struggling with, well, what's my place in all of this? There's all of this information out there. Phenomenal. Where do I stand in relation to it? What can I do with this? And that was where the poetry came into me, for me to make sense of my role here. And Emma's talk was really great in illustrating the importance of creativity anywhere. And it, for me, it speaks to the connection to something higher and something greater to ourselves that is unlocked through that pursuit of a creative endeavor, whatever it is. So, yeah, and I think the Game of Village project is really interesting because it's role play. It's another game for kids to work out how to organize themselves in a society and work together. And it's perfect timing because I can see Kat's got a couple of things ready to illustrate some of the things that.
So during the
Okay,
Nonconformist
yeah.
series, I showed my this is my Peep. This is my miniature person to scale. She's actually a little too tall. 3 inches is a 6-foot person, and she's a little over 3 inches, so she would have been really tall. But it's because I put these huge shoes on her that allow her to actually stand. I was just showing Uli that she does actually stand. And so I put her hair on yesterday, getting ready for class this week. I can't keep up. These kids are faster than me, and I spend all class helping them, so I have to do this at home. And so yesterday I also wove a little blanket for her, and this was with a cardboard loom that one of the teachers, Isla, made for all the kids. And so I wanted to make a practice one to make sure I could do it. And I learned some lessons. Like, I don't know if you can tell, it's like fatter here and gets thinner as it goes. And I used a green fade yarn and a blue fade yarn, and the blue fade went a lot faster than the green fade. And so it's just kind of a goofy, funny little first thing, but I can show the kids and I can improve on my craft. And anyway, it's been really fun. I feel so fulfilled being able to be creative in this way because I get to make little things. And, she has a whole character. Part of the role playing is that, they have a name, and she has a husband and 6 children. And she was a headmistress in Ireland, and she immigrated with her Swiss German husband to the United States at 1776. She's 53 years old. So, I mean, like, I'm really getting to create a character, and I'm so excited about it. I don't know if you can tell, but she's got, where's the camera? Freckles like me. But I wasn't successful in making proportionate lips or nose, but I'm doing my best working with like microscopic little pieces of metal, and it's my first go of it.
It's not bad. Not bad for the first go. I'm really excited because we are planning on having this game of village during the Anarchapulco in February. So like just like the shorter version. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I want to ask you, Uli, a question because you, among us, you are one of the people that can really call yourself an artist, and that you probably feel that you wouldn't be able to live without art. And it's like everyday activity that you do, and you don't get tired of it. Can you tell, please, how is it for you to, is it like everyday thing and you don't think about it so much, or do you also have a period of time when you feel that you are not able to draw or to create something like visual?
Yeah, it's definitely it definitely goes through like different phases, I guess. Or, sometimes it's just easy and it's almost too easy, and like I get distracted from doing important like other real world stuff. And I like abandon all the boring tasks that I need to do because I'm having so much fun, just drawing and coming up with something. And then other times it's just, yeah, it's a bit of a struggle, and it's and I can't focus, and you know and then other times it's an escape for myself, like when I'm doing something unpleasant and I'm in the middle of something really just you know soul sucking, and it's like I just want to sit down and draw. Like that's like my refuge. Like I need to retreat to that immediately. And then other times I'm sitting there and I'm just like I can't do anything, I can't draw, so I'm just gonna go run around, or do some exercise or do some other tasks, and get back to it afterwards. But generally when I have like a goal or a task or a job to finish, like it's fairly easy for me to focus down and be like, all right, like when I set aside time and like say I put this block of time specifically for designing, then it's very easy for me to stick to it and say like, okay, cool, I can sit down, work towards a end design. And then yeah, other times it's just play. It's just I'm having fun making marks and seeing what kind of emerges from the page, you know. So it's a little bit of everything. So yeah.
Can you tell us also a little bit about your and Miranda's project together about this comic story?
Oh yeah, Ruthless Renegade. That's been fun, and I'm glad that we've been, you know, moving forward on that and getting these kind of chapters, you know, storyboarded and put down. And I think both of us get a lot of, you know, soul satisfaction from actually, you know, we've set ourselves this goal for this project, and we get it done to a level that we're both like, yeah, we're good. We're glad we spent time working on this, and we're happy with the end result, and we're just, you know, keep improving on our process. And yeah, we're looking forward to bringing more together, and you know, be part of that culture creation that we both really, you know, believe in. You know, it's, I think both of us have said that it's important for us in the liberty, voluntarist, anarchist, whatever you want to call this, right, to be making our own culture as well. It's not just, oh, we need to, you know, have our own food supplies and our own, you know, policing networks and our own, you know, adjudication, ways to adjudicate problems. And yeah, that's all good, but we also need some of the other stuff in life too. Like we can't just abandon all that kind of like culture and storytelling to, you know, major corporations. You know, we should be encouraging that for ourselves, for our community, for our children, and all that, to, you know, continue to be creative and to make things. And for that to be the first kind of gut reaction to like dissatisfaction would be like, oh, I can do this. I'll just start doing it right now. You know, I'll make this story the way that I want to. I think AI could be a really good tool for that too. You know, it can help people kind of start that process of like saying like, oh, I can make this better in my own head. You know, here's a tool that can help me actually put it down and create something. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember that Miranda told on her speech on the Nonconformist series that this project also was you know, you didn't have like money or whatever like all ready and set, but then you guys kind of thought that this project might be as inspiration and encouragement to others to start whatever they really feel passionate about starting, despite not everything is on like ready and accessible at this exact moment, um, but it will come on the way. Or you guys have been creative with how to support your work and keep going. Do you feel the same about this project?
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, I think for myself personally, like I have this end product in mind, right? Or I want like this nice, perfect bound, you know, high gloss, full colored cover, you know, nice heavy cardstock. The pages feel nice, and you know, like that's the end project. That's the end product I can envision. But in the meantime, to get to there, it's just like, well, let me do the work of actually filling the pages. The pages got to be filled, right? It can't just be all nice and blank. So I may as well do that part, and then hopefully, you know, as we continue this down and we gather kind of more eyes on it and more kind of support from people, and people talking about this, and hopefully inspiring other people to start doing this as well, you know, and that can, you know, begin this, to hopefully like a trend for people to start making their own kind of, you know, media and culture that they want to enjoy and to share. So but
And
yeah,
something that
it's easy to have that perfect end goal product in mind, but any way you slice it, you have to do steps to get to that point. So I think
Step one.
exactly, exactly, yeah. You just got to
Start somewhere.
start somewhere.
And I think that's what was really enlightening to me about having this whole Nonconformist series, is we did get such a variety in of the the overview and the philosophy of why these different artistic endeavors are important, but those were also interspersed with the practical stories and the lived experiences of people who've been through and have found ways to make this work and have got tangible tips for people across all areas. It was and Andrew Treglier, who made the phenomenal Jones Plantation and Barnum World, went through a full like 40-minute masterclass of, okay, if you want to make a film, here's the, tangible practical steps of how it needs to come together from an overview level. Emma, Gerard's talk, very similar of just setting up a studio space and getting in the mindset and a place to create. All of these are just, it was really wonderful for me as an MC to be able to have that experience of weaving together all these different layers of what goes into creativity and yeah, and to showcase that it's a story. Art and creativity is storytelling. And Bob Moran, another excellent figure who spoke to that throughout his talk. It's that storytelling through art is creating new narratives. It's those new narratives that replace these fear narratives and self-limiting belief systems that we're taught to, that we're fed, and we believe that we have to be subservient to governments or tyrannical or oppressive regimes of what our existence is meant to be. No, these acts of creation, these acts of art create the new stories of how we can show up in the world as our most free and sovereign selves. And so I think Uli really hit the nail on the head with so many of those points there.
Mm.
And with Rootless Renegade, it's a showcase of that as well. It's turning Miranda and, as we'll see coming up, I'm sure, Uli's story into a vehicle to showcase that, to show where a lifetime that could be anyone's, which has had instances of lows, can be brought back through to the highs, and in doing so, anyone can be sovereign, anyone can become the master of their realm and to take charge of whatever circumstances come their way. And that can be done through being creative. So
Mm.
But when mentioning Bob Miran, I feel like, especially, in his type of art and some of the other speakers that are able to, to be able to make this other narrative, you have to, and to be able to show it in like this one little picture so vividly. It takes the ability to see, what's happening around. Because, for example, for instance, I have blocked out all the politics and all the stuff. And when my brother, for example, calls me, "Oh, did you hear what happened in Latvia?" and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, "Oh, I have no idea." But I'm so amazed with all the people who are able to notice and follow all the things that are happening, for example, politically, and then to also see through them and take out this essence and the message that is actually often hidden in the events that are happening, and to visualize it in such a simple kind of way so that we all are like, oh yes, right, that's what is happening. That's I feel takes a lot of observation and intelligence in every aspect of life. um, how do you experience these kind of art um, art yeah, visualization? Can you do you have any people that you follow that are able to visualize the things that are actually happening around us, that are not often maybe um, so visible as maybe COVID thing? Do
well,
you have anyone else?
I think we
Yeah.
did a good job at getting a lot of them on the in the Nonconformist series, which is why I was so happy about it. The and it's interesting because we have those who work in visual mediums to illustrate that and to explore how just in the direct visuals where those narratives that might be fed to us through mainstream news or whatever it is can be sort of dissected and come undone and then turned into a caricature of itself almost and that is a process of rewriting that narrative to find a solution to say, well, what actually works for us as living, breathing, sovereign individuals. And it stretches for me for all sorts of artistic endeavors, what might be called high art, the paintings, the pictures, the literature, the films, whatever. Um, like even in writing and in music, those forms can paint, we say they can paint a picture of alternatives or solutions or ideas or ways forward. Um, I think Brother Ali, who we had on the panel as well, especially in so many of his recent albums and works, is painting a picture and allows me to visualize through his music and his words and the combinations he has there. What can a life look like, maybe through the lyrics, but also feel like being there? That's really interesting to me. I mean, there's so many creatives out there doing great stuff. I know if we ever wanted to do a round two or something similar on this theme, I already have a load of names in mind. It'd be like, I want them, I want them. And I'm also sure that some of the people who are doing that so successfully are maybe people I've never heard of. Maybe people that we've all never heard of. Maybe that person hasn't even come along yet. Maybe it's someone who's listening to this on whatever platform they're listening now and they're realizing, hang on, maybe there is a space for me to create something. That's the kind of creative that I want to hear from. And I think absolutely has the ability to paint a picture and to help us visualize an aspect that I'm not yet seeing in my life. Because with that as well, things and contexts and situations change. There's never not going to be a need for this sort of stuff. The kinds of problems and challenges that we face is constantly changing. And so there's always a need for art and creativity to find a path through and create a new narrative there. And yeah, so there's always a need to visualize what can come next, and the path for creativity as a path towards that is essential.
You know what I think hasn't been mentioned, and I don't think was mentioned during the actual series during Jeff's presentation, is I don't know if it's Pete or who is doing his intro videos, but they are epic pieces of time appropriate art. It's cartoon and it's always themed around what he's talking about in his video, and it's just putting such, I don't know, it's giving so much art to such a scary time in history, like there's genocide taking place on this planet, and whoever is doing his intro videos right now is just doing an amazing job because they're literally creating, I don't know if it's with an AI generator or I don't know how it's being made, but I didn't hear Jeff talk about that in his presentation, and I was partially expecting him to. But so if you haven't been watching his videos lately, I watch them on Instagram. And so Jay Berwick, I believe is his name on Instagram, or is it Berwick Jeff?
I don't have Instagram.
Oh gosh, you guys, don't quote me on this. I'll send a link to Laura.
No, we've got to
in the
get
show
this exact
description.
because there's very good reasons to go follow them if you're using those.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of fake accounts, so I'll send the actual link to Laura and we'll put it in the show description. But it's worth following.
Yes.
And
Berwick Jeff, I believe.
Berwick Jeff. Okay, that's right. I also feel like my social media is a work of art. I will say I curate my photos and I write captions of epic proportions, and I feel like someday for the sake of my children, I would love to like export my Instagram into like a book format because it's their life story, told, and it's not the really super hard parts, right? Those parts I don't think are necessarily public, but it's the journey that we've been on, and And I love it. I love scrolling back through and seeing when I lived in a converted school bus and all the crazy stuff that I've done. Like I feel like, there's some of these things that are so chastised in modern culture. AI is bad and social media is bad and da 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 da. But I think it's really how you interact with it, kind of like a gun, kind of like cannabis, kind of like alcohol. Like all of these things can actually um, become expressions of your highest self. They don't have to be toxic. They don't have to be horrible, right? And so that's something that I'm really enjoying, because I have a tendency toward workaholicism, and not just like for money, but like on my pet projects that I'm like so excited about, and I just grind and grind and grind and grind and grind and grind. And so I've been really trying to work, like, how do I make my life really a work of art? And one of those expressions for me has become social media. I love it. I love telling my story in that way and having it documented, and yeah, it's part of my art.
So probably we will need to put the link to your social media in the description.
Well, my
Oh,
Instagram is private, y'all. My art is for a contained space. And that's also something that I've been really thinking about a lot lately, because one of the things that Anarchapulco brought to me was a safe space to express myself. And for me, my spoken word has been one of my greatest outlets for my creativity, right? Like you could literally, I don't care what the subject matter is, give me the subject and give me a length of time and I can talk about it that whole time. Even if it's something I know nothing about, I will fill that time. And I can pretty much do it to the minute without a time clock, right? You tell me 12 minutes on quantum physics, I got you, boo. You tell me 35 minutes on raising chickens, I got you, boo. And so that has been an outlet for me. But there were certain subjects that I was afraid to speak about. And I feel like Anarchapulco gave me the gift of having a safe space to express myself about those things and be heard. And I feel like, my website also became an extension of that. I started posting my speeches there and typing some things up there that were not the pretty social media things, but the like, here's my story things, like here's what's real for me. And I have some parts of that story are password protected, right? And it's just for certain people. The really going deep into it part is password protected. And I have found that the right people have seen that blog. It has changed lives. It has literally changed lives. I have had people reach out to me who are going through domestic violence. I have had people tied up with similar personality, like the same people that I'm talking about, that they had experiences with, and they needed somebody to talk to about their experiences. And I feel choosing the right audience is so much more important than having a big audience. And so I do keep certain pieces of my creative expression tight and small, because some of those pieces are so vulnerable that I don't think the rest of the world necessarily knows how to hold that. And so I'm sharing it with the right people, and it has made an impact. And I know that, even though on, when you're looking at numbers, you look at website traffic, I haven't sold anything. I didn't make any money off of it. I don't have like a viral video about, but it's actually changed lives. And so for me, that's really what the impact of art should be, right? It's not just a click. It's not just someone scrolling by and seeing what you're doing, but it's experiencing what you're putting out there in a way that actually impacts their lives. And I have that experience with Uli's art, like when I close my eyes and I think about certain events and certain whatever, I see his art there, like the fish jumping at Liber Poco on the t-shirts everywhere. And like it created an energetic vibe, for the space. And I will forever associate that image when I think about that event that year and the way I felt with Uli's art, And so it's just so cool to be in a community where we are each able to express ourselves in these super unique ways and be supported and loved and embraced and honored for that, even though none of us do the same thing. You know, we express ourselves so differently.
Yes, and also there were several speakers mentioning that creativity and different expressions of art is like food for our souls. And sometimes, for example, when I go to Elizabeth School, that is a Steiner school, and they have like they still celebrate different festivities in a very special way, very differently from mainstream um, schools or ordinary educational places. And I don't know if they have invested this in the concert or the show, but I sometimes really get so touched and moved by the presence of the kids in the concert, in the theater or whatever they are showing, that I really feel emotionally touched to, till tears. And this also I wanted to touch that there can be something that is visually really nice or musically really catchy, but then there is also this other quality that really touches you deep inside. How do you guys experience these two qualities in your life or in your art experience?
I know for me, it's often music, but I also cry a lot watching dancers at the dance competitions where my daughter dances, children I don't know, but you're watching them express themselves in these soulful ways, even young children, you know, and they're just, you can tell that it's not every dancer, it's not every time, right? It's certain girls that get up on stage and they are expressing themselves in such a passionate way that I literally start crying. And my daughter's always making fun of me because I'm crying over strangers. But I also do it at Ballet Austin with the professional adults dancing too, you know? And so that one was kind of surprising for me because I never would have expected that dance that I wasn't participating in could move me to tears, but it does often. But it's probably the combination of the music too. You know, I think when you have multi-sensory input coming in and there's like a stage and there's lights and there's sound and, you know, there's visual and there's all these things going on. And that is why we have such a high production value at Anarchapulco. We want people to have that experience. When they are listening to someone present a mind-blowing idea on stage, we want it to look beautiful and feel beautiful because so many people are going through these, you know, transformative experiences, sometimes together at the same time and sometimes feeling alone. And so having that full sensory experience of the lights and the sound and the scenery, you know, I think it's so important to like create that movement in our heart and in our soul.
If I add my 2 cents, for me personally, it's whenever I come across something that like just takes all my attention for the moment, right? When I come across like something visually, and I'm just like all of a sudden I just am focused on this thing in front of me, and I just want to take it all in and look at all the little tiny details and you know this and same thing with music. Like you know when I come across a really good track that I've not heard before, like I'll play it on repeat like several times in a row, just because there's something about like you know the music that's just like I just wanted to you know soak it in and like take it all in and just really just enjoy just the thing that I'm in you know focus my attention on. And like in a weird way it's like the slightly meditative because it clears out everything else that I'm thinking about. Like if it's something really striking, I just every all else drops away and I'm just focused on you know this music, on this writing, on this you know film or on painting or something like that. So that's what it's like for myself.
And I absolutely agree with and resonate with both those points there. And for me, in the poetry realm, it's why I'm such a big advocate of people reading and speaking poetry live, because it gives that complete totality of the feel, adding the rhythm, adding the sense of performance in there, being able to see and hear in real time these words being either translated from a page or from memory into physical space is a phenomenal experience. And I know for writing workshops that I've done where I've gotten people to write their own poems, even people who may not have done otherwise. I know, Uli, you've experienced a bit of this when at
Yeah.
the workshop with Mycelium Hub. It's one thing writing that down and getting it on a page and doing that act of creation there, and then adding in that element of speaking it and delivering it in as a complete experience, real time.
Mm.
Is a phenomenally powerful, transforming and moving process. It's why when I've heard live readings of Edgar Allan Poe, for example, I've been so moved by so many of his works. Even reading them just without hearing it aloud is powerful enough. And then it just adds that extra punch when it becomes embodied. And I find it interesting that a lot of religions have spoken about the power of the embodied word. Even in Christianity, the world is created when God speaks a word. That is how the Bible opens. I think that's an allegory for what we can do in our personal lives when, at least in the realm of poetry, and then with arts more broadly, giving this totality of an experience in real time in a physical space is incredibly moving. And I think that movement is of emotion, of energy, of spirit is essential for for moving through the challenges and wherever we might be stuck in our lives. It's absolutely essential. It's how we evolve, develop, and ultimately thrive.
Mm.
So thank you guys so much for sharing. And I guess if you, the audience, have felt some kind of curiosity or the resonance with all of this that we have been talking about today, and acknowledging that it's actually quite impossible not to be creative in any way in your lives, it's still possible to watch the Nonconformist series replays. And Kat, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's some special offer right now on the Anarchapulco homepage still for the Nonconformist series replays. It was at least for the Halloween, and I haven't.
I think that's past.
That's already passed, but anyway, it's possible.
So. Go look at it. It's definitely in. It's available for the replay, and it'll get added to the all replays bundle as well. So come to anarchapulco.com. And I have a question for everybody. All right, if we were to create an Anarchapulco membership that was a monthly membership and it gave you access to our entire library, kind of like Netflix or Hulu or whatever, but it was all Anarchapulcos, all Anarchovids, all Conversations in Anarchy, all Librapocos, all Nonconformist series, would that be something people are interested in?
And let us know in the comments of whatever platform you're watching this on as well.
Oh yeah, or put it in the comments. All the above. Just
do all
let
of
us know.
it.
Put it in the comments or send an email to Kat personally. All the links to the Nonconformist series and the email address are in the descriptions below. So thank you very much for your time and ideas and knowledge. Do you guys want to say something before we say bye?
I'd say peace, love, and anarchy.
That's a good way to go.
Peace, love, and anarchy. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Ciao.
There we go.